As I'm sure you all well know, I am a massive fan of the Netflix original animated series, The Dragon Prince. I have loved the show from the very start, and it's been sitting runner-up to Steven Universe as my favorite show of all time pretty comfortably for a while now. The show debuted back in 2018 and got 7 seasons in the course of 6 years, which is a very rare feat for a story-driven cartoon like The Dragon Prince. Since the show is up to that 7 numbered seasons now, I think I can make enough of a YouTube video ranking the seasons from worst to best. I think the show has a pretty clear and obvious top 3 and last place, but you ought to let me know how my list is down in the comments. Each season takes on the title of Books and is represented by one of the 6 magical runes: Sky, Ocean, Earth, Sun, Moon, and Stars. And then season 7 is Dark Magic, but you're all probably Dragon Prince fans and know all this stuff. I'm sure you want to get into how I ranked each season, and my overall thoughts on the episodes in them. So let's go ahead and jump right into the list. Now, I love most everything about The Dragon Prince. I think every season brings something great to the table. However, I have to say, I'm sure most fans of the show would agree with me that season 4, Earth, is the clear weakest season of the bunch. It is the season that tackles the 2-year time skip after the remarkable season 3 finale, and there are some things it did right, but in many ways, it approached the time skip poorly. For example, Rayla's character, her unannounced absence for 2 years, is only explained in the form of a graphic novel, Through the Moon. It's a good book, but that in itself is not great. But I don't really think it made sense for a character to have been our brother protagonist in the first place, at least on the way it was written and executed. This show heavily uses the whole trope of "I am leaving you behind for your own good because I love you" thing, which I'm honestly not a huge fan of, but especially when the characters reconvene and realize, oh, maybe doing this together was best even though it was dangerous. Like, no duh, of course, that's true. I'd like to think that our characters wouldn't make hasty and foolish decisions in reality. They just had to do so to move the story along in the way the overarching plot was set up. Or, maybe I'm just a massive Raylan fan, and this is just me venting, but regardless, I love seeing the characters get a design change from a time skip, but this one wasn't really handled too well. Apart from that, this season is lots of slower build-up after the grand spectacle that was season 3, which is fine. We don't always have to be going full speed with the storyline, but it did make the narrative feel a bit slow and like it was just a bridge to future seasons. I will say, season 4 is probably by far the season I personally got most hyped and excited for. I was all in with the show after where it left off, and season 4 and on is where I became an avid Dragon Prince fan. To end with something positive on the season, it did begin to build Claudia up as one of the most ruthless and well-written villains of the series, especially her scenes in Umbertor, so love to see that. It just so happens that I'm following season 4 up with season 5, Ocean, but I'm still pretty confident about this placement here. The last 4 to 5 episodes introduced Finnegrin as the main antagonist of the season, and truly I don't really have any lasting thoughts on the guy. He really didn't do it for me. Him capturing Callum and Callum having to use dark magic again to escape was the most interesting thing his character did. He also kind of paved the way for them having a bunch of baby Bates, so I suppose you can appreciate him for that. The beginning of the season, with the royal wedding, the great bookery and all, is engaging enough, but I don't think quite hits the standards that the show set early on. Also, in this season, Viren is asleep most of the time, and he's already the most rich and sophisticated character when he's on screen, so that wasn't great. I will say one great thing about this season was the finale. It was pretty epic, but Dragon Prince finales usually are, so no real surprises there. I could mention Claudia in each season really, but here she is really the best. When she uses dark magic to her full capabilities and transforms into her crazy killer octopus, that's pretty awesome to see. This is the season that I think really solidifies her character as a too far gone, irredeemable witch, pretty much. And with the question of will she be redeemed, won't she be redeemed, out the window, it makes scenes where she does some wild, evil stuff that much more intriguing. But if I had to give this season a grade as a whole, I would probably be the B- range, which isn't bad by any means for a season of animation. It just really gets good moving up in this list. I have season 2, Sky, coming in at the 5th spot here, and I think this season can just be described as a solid bridge between the opening season and the jam-packed third one. The season as a whole doesn't blow you away, but it does feature a lot more of the above-average episodes of this show put out there. Some of my favorites being the flashback Heart of a Titan episode, and the Breathe finale where Callum unlocks his primal magic abilities. We also get our first season with Zim, and he is absolutely adorable. There are also some good moments with the family of Claudia, Soren, and Viren, but their characters shine brighter in other seasons. We do get to see Viren make more contact with Erebos in this stretch, and watching him and Gradley go to any length to partner with the Star Judge Elf is really cool to see. Generally, this is just a well done, in-between season that I just know I don't really have much to say as other seasons ranked higher. But I also can't find much to complain about, like with season 4 and 5. Except maybe the show giving their pirate characters too much screen time. She-Ra kinda did the same thing, I don't know what the deal is with that, but I don't want to see it, but it was fine. So I'd say this is where we go a tier up. And I was really debating between the next 2 seasons on this list, but if I watch the show again, maybe I'll flip-flop them, but at the moment, I'm going to put season 1 Moon at the 4th place spot. This is where the show all started, and it really got its footing down quickly. The attack of the Moonshadow Elves is such a good initial conflict, and it begins the overall concept of humans versus elves that is intertwined throughout the entire series. We also get our first good glimpses of our main trio going on their journey, and we are immediately hit with 3 charming protagonists that play very well off one another. There are little subplots in this season, like Rayla's hand almost being suffocated to death, that's kinda wild, and I enjoy the Curse Caldera and the Ice episodes as well. I think this season really feels like the most casual fun, going on an adventure with friends without crazy stakes or expectations to weigh the show down. It really feels like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, where we just see Katara, Sokka, and Aang traveling here and there on Appa without grand scale stakes on their backs. And part of me really likes and appreciates getting to watch shows when they approach some of their seasons like that. However, the top 3 seasons are all more exciting and go ham on the narratives, and truthfully, I'm going to gravitate towards the seasons that really make me think deeply and defy expectations. But I will still acknowledge and appreciate the simple roots that The Dragon Prince and other similar shows had in their opening seasons. This season is still the most recent one, so I may have a smidge of recency bias, but I do ultimately think that Season 7, Dark, is a top 3 season of this franchise. The finale really does feel like an epic finale. I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since it aired back in December. Before I talk about some of the more epic things from this season, I did want to mention the awesome dynamic that Ezrin, Callum, and Rayla have in this season. All the way from Season 1, where they're just friends going on a journey, to now Callum having to go against his brother, who is the king mind you, to do what he thinks is right for Rayla and her family. The interpersonal tension hits some real highs in this season. Certainly much better executed than the tension Rayla created by leaving in between seasons for multiple years. But then yeah, the season's big ending does hit so many of the notes that you want from an animated fantasy series. Plenty of suspenseful sacrifices and emotional beats in there, paired with a fair dose of magical dragons and giant evil elves. And also this scene, which I almost forgot about, but oh my goodness, it's kind of crazy they were allowed to pull that off. I do think the previous season's narrative and its ending was a bit more interesting, but this one was so epic to watch, especially after years of devotion and patience with the show and its growth. Now let's get to the second place season, because I generally think it might be the most well-made season of the show. There is so much to love about the 6th season of The Dragon Prince. The season is entitled Stars, and why not start with a discussion of this epic season by talking about the Star Touch elf Erebos, because this season expands upon his character and his backstory in all the ways you could possibly want. The story of his daughter being taken from him makes his insane actions that much more intriguing. Not necessarily forgivable, but the context certainly makes his motives more believable. That finale episode, as it dives into his wild history, might be the best part of the season, but there are several other parts that stick out in this one. The opening scene from the season is generally one of the best cold opens I've ever seen from an animated show. It is quite dark and shocking, and hits you immediately with what you love from The Dragon Prince: magic and maturity. This season also has lots of good Raylan stuff too. As they go on their journey to the Skarscraper, they go to the frozen ship. When they get back together, I love it all so much. But they might be my favorite couple in cartoon history, so I'm a little biased. But truthfully, I think my favorite moment from the season has to be what they did with Viren. I've mentioned before how I think he's my favorite individual character, and I absolutely love how they made his arc come full circle. And because of that, his tragic, sacrificial death hits that much harder. Katola's burned to the ground, dragons and beloved characters just dying. This season is probably the darkest of the franchise, and I loved every second of it. In retrospect, this season may be the most solid all around, but there is another season that is so good and special to me that I'm going to rank it just a smidge higher. And coming in at first place is the third season entitled Sun, and I knew for sure that this one would take the crown. Season 6 gave it a good run for its money, but I couldn't knock this one down. After I watched the season 3 finale, I knew that it would forever be one of my top 3 favorite animated shows of all time. So let's start right there with the finale. The final battle that goes down is super cool. You got dragons and mages and Viren going insane, but you know if you've seen the season what really makes it so awesome. And I'm talking about the Rayla Cliff Leap. Her dedication to go to any length to avenge her parents and fulfill her purpose is demonstrated masterfully in her shocking tackle of Viren off the cliffside. The cool part is how that it really pairs up well with Callum's dedication to go to any length to be with and love Rayla that he risks it all and jumps off the cliff after her. That blink and you miss it scene where Rayla sees that Callum jumped and she's more heartbroken to see that her love's gonna die than the fact that she is one of the most incredible moments of the Dragon Prince. The Manus Bloom of Volantis to then save them both is perfect. No notes. But I do actually want to talk about the whole season, because it's more than just one scene from one episode. It starts right off the bat with Sol Regum and Ezran going back home to become king, both of which bring some awesome scenes with them. Then you got Rayla returning home to learn that she's been banished, all the scenes in the Midnight Desert with Nyx and Raylan becoming official. Oh, we also got the flashback episode of the death of Zim's dad explaining why things are the way they are. This season really does have a little bit of everything. And then you just got the cherry on top, my favorite scene from the show ever, and you can't convince me otherwise. It's all on the screen now, it's this one. I love Ezran and Bates' reaction so much. It is so adorable and soft and just hilarious. Man, I love the show and this season, which is why it's taking the #1 spot in the rankings. So there you have it. My ranking of the 7 seasons of this elite animated cartoon. The final season did end on a bit of a cliffhanger, and who knows if we'll get more episodes greenlit. I sure hope so. But the 7 seasons we do have of this series are some of my favorite seasons of television out there. So let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my list. Be sure to like and subscribe for more cartoony content. I'll see you next time in the Cartoon Cabbage Patch.